As a member of the Australian Special Air Service Regiment, better known as the SAS, Keith Fennell was regarded as the best of the best. Risking his life in overseas war zones was his job. Protecting his mates on dangerous tours was his duty. Keith Fennell is an SAS insider who tells it like it really is. I spoke with him in this exclusive interview.
We said, look, if one of us goes down, we'll try and grab a watch or something personal off the guy, but if the guy's dead, he's dead. If someone is wounded, you'd never leave them. You'd all die as a patrol together.
Keith spent 11 years serving with Australia's Special Air Service Regiment, the SAS. They're our most elite, most secretive unit. In the world's hottest trouble spots, from East Timor to Afghanistan and Iraq, they're the first in and often the last to leave.
Mentally, you have to be extremely robust, but the SAS is also looking for guys who can perform. They have to have a particular mindset to be able to function when things are going a little bit crazy. And also the ongoing training that you're able to think clearly when things are out of control, and that's something that a lot of SAS soldiers are able to do.
You may have heard tales of the extreme physical and psychological selection process to get into the SAS, but what you won't have heard about is what happens behind enemy lines.
We got you covered.
1999, East Timor, and Keith and 5 colleagues were looking for armed militants in a remote jungle area. Little did they know, 60 of those gunmen were looking for them.
I looked over my shoulder and there was 6 armed men about 20 metres away. Just before we locked eyes, I initiated, fired one round from the hip, crashed straight into the shoulder of the lead man, and then it just opened up, the 6 of them firing and I was firing. The other 5 members of our patrol were sitting with packs on about 15 metres away, so then they joined the firefight, and that was the initiation.
How'd you get out of that?
We were eventually surrounded. There was about 9 guys coming through the other side, and there was another couple of contacts, and then we dumped packs, took all of our essential stores, radios and that type of thing. We broke contact, so it lasted about an hour and a half in total.
So was that the first guy that you killed? Yeah,
that would have been. It's a very neutral sort of feeling initially, but later on you do reflect on it and you realise that you've taken life. But it is still a neutral sort of feeling because it's like 2 football teams up against each other. Someone's going to be the loser, and it's not personal, so to speak. I take no hatred about anything that I've been involved with. There's no hatred whatsoever.
Special forces around the world have their strengths and weaknesses. But according to Keith, no one does reconnaissance work like Australia's SAS.
In Iraq, I spoke with a colonel from one of the Marine battalions, and he was really keen to find out how we were doing our strategic reconnaissance because they lost a couple of sniper teams, 4-man teams wiped out, and the first thing they knew about these guys were their bodies being dragged through the streets on the news.
So did you speak about that with your
definitely.
patrols?
Kane and myself, who's probably my closest friend, we said, look, if one of us goes down, we'll try and grab a watch or something personal off the guy, but if the guy's dead, he's dead. You know, we won't sacrifice a life if someone is no longer alive. But if someone is wounded, you'd never leave them. You'd all die as a patrol together.
What is it about you that's led to you ending up in all these places, Timor, Afghanistan, Baghdad?
Well, I was addicted. I was addicted to the adrenaline rush. It was something that was sort of etched so deeply inside my soul. I found that very hard to break out of.
When you were doing all of this, risking your life, fighting in remote areas of Afghanistan, you had a family.
I did. I did.
Your wife must be very understanding. She must be remarkable.
She's an amazing woman. I don't know how she did it.
But he's beginning to find out. He's swapped the caves of Afghanistan and the mean streets of Baghdad for life at home.
Now that I'm sort of in the home dad role with the vacuuming and cleaning and burning chicken and that type of thing, and you know, kids turning their noses up at my dinners and that type of thing, I can understand just how difficult that would have been. I went from Iraq, you know, looking in the eyes of someone that tried to take my life, to being at home, mother's group, going to mother's group and hanging out, sipping lattes with ladies I'd never met and talking about Tom Cruise. I'm thinking, I can't believe I'm actually engaged in a conversation about Tom Cruise.
So you've gone from the SAS to mother's group?
Yeah. I don't want to be 50 years old and not knowing my children. I left the regiment in that lifestyle so I could be a father to my kids and a husband. Very difficult on my wife. We had a couple of separations along the way, and I sort of feel like I'm just there. It was probably some of the most stressful stuff that I've ever done. You know, trying to get the kids ready for school. You know, that was a big couple of weeks. So that transition was quite difficult.
Also helping the transition, the process of writing his book. But will his urge for action ever truly go away?
No, it's always there. The hooks come out, Keith, come back. So I don't think that'll ever change. I am addicted. I don't want to be. I want to be a father. I love taking the kids down the surf club, and if one of them fall over, and I'm the one that puts a band-aid on their knee now, and reading books with them, teaching them how to swim. But it's always there.
And nothing scratches the itch.
Nothing scratches that itch.
And for the record, Keith Fennell ran the content of his book past his regiment before it was published.